And welcome back to the Brazil Expat Journal. We're back for good, guys. This is the second Brazil Expat Journal, The Return. It's like Twin Peaks, The Return. Although it is episode 11, I believe. So I want to welcome everyone. Thank you for listening to the last one about Carnival. That was a whole lot of fun. And I am here with my co-host Peter Baird from Canada. How you doing, sir? Is he there? I don't know. I can't hear Pete. His internet goes on and off sometimes, but he
Yes,
was
I'm
there.
here. I'm here.
Oh, there you are. So what's up, Peter? How's life treating you? We'll definitely talk a little bit about that. Well, while Peter's getting his.
Um,
Oh, there he is.
yeah, no, I'm here. I'm here. Yeah.
We'll talk then, man. People are waiting to hear your voice, your gorgeous voice. See, this is why I don't like doing live stuff. But in any case, I'm gonna fill up some space here.
Yeah. Well, my phone appears isn't working.
Your phone isn't working. I don't know what's happening. But as Pete figures that out, let me talk to you about what we are doing tonight. Tonight, we have a guest. His name is Ron, okay? And he's going to talk about thriving outside Brazil's big cities. And why did I choose this as tonight's theme, or whatever you want to call it? It's because I read an article a few weeks back that from BBC.com, okay? And can Brazil's remote workers thrive outside big cities? And I'll link that in the comments if you want to read this article. And it mainly talked about how during the pandemic, a lot of Brazil's workers have decided that living outside of the big cities is actually advantageous for many reasons. Less people, sometimes less crime, but there's also challenges that have to do with living outside of the big cities. Mainly, there isn't the same infrastructure as when you get to the cities like Sao Paulo, Rio, Curitiba, et cetera, et cetera. So I tried to find an expat that is actually living in one of these smaller cities, and that's what Ron is going to talk to us about. Are you there, sir? Pete?
I am. Yeah,
There you
I
go.
think nowadays, though, I think a lot of the advantages of living in the big city and having that infrastructure are kind of negated. So this is why there's been this big move to the countryside, or not necessarily the country, more like to the coast for a lot of people. Um, so yeah, I think it's not just that there's advantages to living in smaller cities, but most of the advantages of big cities have been largely negated.
Yeah, that's another reason. I mean, I have this dream of moving to a city. I mean, for me, it would be the countryside. I don't like the coast very much. So I would move inland. And some of them are reasonably sized, about 1 million, 2 million people, depending on the city. But a lot of them, they have 80,000, 90,000. The city where Ron lives, there's like 90,000 people. So it's a very small city. So, he'll talk more about that later, and we'll talk more about that later. But, I'm sharing the article there on the screen now. And the big question is, what happens when you try to do this in a developing nation? Because, again, the infrastructure is not always there, and then they're mostly talking about Brazilians that have done this. But I would love to hear an expat perspective on it all. But let's get to, before we do that though, guys, remember I had said that I did want to have our little news segment. And so we're going to do a little bit of news, talk a little bit about what is going on in our lives, because Pete had a crazy week and I had a somewhat crazy week. And I saw that Ron's in the broadcast studio. Ron, we see you. We'll get you in here as soon as we're finished this little opening segment. And I'm excited to hear what he's got to say about life outside the city. But big news, we didn't do news last week, but how can we not mention that Lula has been absolved more or less or of all wrongdoing. Although no, he
Yeah.
hasn't been absolved. It's just his court proceedings have been negated. They have been judged as just done wrong, whatever. And so now he can
Yeah,
run
by
in
judges that
2022.
he appointed.
Yeah. So now he can run in 2022. So guys, we don't like to give too many opinions, too many of our personal thoughts on the news. This is just something to be aware of. The markets have gone down since this announcement, though. That is a fact. And what Brazilians are feeling is that, man, it's like, was it clowns to the left of me, jokers to the right, and here I am
Yeah,
stuck in the middle with. So
yeah,
we
yeah.
showed.
There's no middle ground, man. Like it's basically like I I can't think of a comparison for Bolsonaro. Like there's nothing you can compare Bolsonaro to. They call him the Brazilian Trump, but he's not. He's his own animal. But definitely Lula's kind of invokes Karl Marx or Che Guevara, or one of those crazy ass leftists. So yeah, there's no middle ground, man. It's just two extremes.
It's two extremes, although it may, I don't know, it may create a space if Doria here from Sao Paulo is smart. He can kind of wedge himself in the middle, but I don't think he's that smart. So that could be a third
Now his
option, but
future looked so bright a year ago, but he's
I
kind of
know.
bungled things the past year.
Exactly. So that's where Brazil is now. Brazil is waiting for the 2022 head to head between Bolsonaro and Lula, which was kind of supposed to happen last time around, except that Lula went to jail.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was that little snag in his plan. So that's what's
Yes.
happening in Brazil right now, other than that we are in red phase and everything's shut down, really shut down now.
Yes,
And
yes. There were like three cops on my block today, just like watching businesses. That's all they were doing, like making sure that they weren't sneaking people in, which apparently it is happening here in Butantá. I heard from a friend of mine today that apparently there's this like underground disco operating on Vital Brazil near Metro Butantá. That's totally happening. He doesn't go. He's like in his 80s. He's not much of a disco man. But no, apparently some places are still managing to operate or spring up, but it's a lot harder than it was a few weeks ago, that's for sure.
much harder. I saw a news clip where a bunch of cops were escorting like at least looked like 50 to 100 kids out of a clandestine party.
Yeah.
So they're cracking down. They're cracking down. Although I will say on Sunday, either Saturday or Sunday, no, it was Saturday, I went to Avenida Augusta or Rua Augusta looking for something to eat with a friend of mine. We passed the pizza place that I like, thinking, maybe we'll just go down and see if we can order out. And then when I asked the guy to see the menu, he's like, just go upstairs and look for yourself. So we went upstairs and looked for ourselves. It's a really nice bar and restaurant. And yeah, we had a nice meal there. So there are little hidden spots like that. Little, it's like, what are those? The juke joints action going
Yeah.
down in Brazil. And well, that just gets us into what we're doing. And Pete had an interesting event happen to him because, chuvas de março, a lot of rain happens in March here in Brazil. And what happened there, Pete?
Well, actually, this has been an ongoing problem that I've been complaining about, but It's difficult because, my Portuguese isn't really good. So I have to communicate to the landlady via text messages in Portuguese. But basically, the problem is that there's a hole on the roof of my building, and it's only one floor. I mean, two, but there's nothing on the bottom floor. The bottom floor is all bars. So my apartment is basically right over a bar, and it's like this floor and this floor alone, and the hole is directly above my ceiling. And so when it rains really heavy, like when it rains mildly, it's not a big deal. But when it rains heavily, it seeps into the apartment, man. Like I was like, when you get these really heavy thunder and rainstorms, which probably aren't going to happen anymore. We're heading into what passes for fall here, and this is mostly a summer thing. But yeah, this was like peak of summer, and it was raining heavy a lot, and it was getting progressively worse. And the way it is, like those beams that you see there, that's my ceiling, and there's like, I don't know, about a 30 centimeter gap between the beams and the actual roof. And I guess what happened was it was raining so heavily, and my ceiling had been taxed so much for experiencing this for so long that the water piled up and it just fucking collapsed, man. Like all at once. And not only did it collapse, but of course all the water that was building up in there, that also came into the apartment. Along with a bunch of rats too, because apparently rats like partying on the ceiling in my building. So yeah, basically giant tidal wave of about 16 liters of water, collapsing roof, um, squealing rats, but actually kind of a small miracle because my computer was completely out of the path of damage. That would have sucked. None of my clothes got damaged. Actually, nothing I owned got damaged. So,
And you got a new
well,
friend. You got a new friend
yes,
with
yes,
a little
yes,
rat.
because I complained about the rats, and pest control came over, and I only saw two. So they got two rats and they left. But, there's a third one who may or may not still be here. I don't know. I think it must be because I made the mistake of leaving my bathroom door open last night. And when I went into the bathroom today, my toothpaste was on the floor. And unless we had an earthquake, I can't think of anything else that would have caused it to
No,
fall
I'll
from its shelf space.
now I was going to say that this is a great little segue because we're almost ready to get Ron here into the conversation about things that worry expats when they think about living outside of the big cities. When you have these problems, even in the big cities, a lot of expats worry, what if this happens and I'm out in the middle of nowhere, quote unquote,
Yeah,
and then my roof collapses and then I need pest control. And then it's not just rats coming in, but it's snakes and wild onças and everything. So that may be
yeah,
something that we can talk to Ron about. And another thing we can talk to Ron about is healthcare, because I know that that's something that really is worrisome for people. Because I had a little bit of a health issue the last couple of weeks with my left nut. If any of you follow me on Facebook, you'll know. And I went through the uh, public healthcare 2 weeks ago because at least it was like, you just go to the little pronto socorro, the little mobile, whatever it is, little mini hospital, and I got all my tests and medication, blah blah blah. But I still wanted to get a full checkup, and then I did that through Amil, which is one of the private healthcare companies here in Brazil. And I just went in for an ultrasound of my balls, and you can see there my beautiful nut. And they sent me to this lab called Lavoisier, and I'll tell you, a really great experience. Obviously, you can't compare it to the public, although the public does have its benefits too, and especially when you need something like done automatically. You go there, you just cry a lot, and eventually somebody's going to see you and try to check you out. The problem is if you need lab results and tests done, that shit can take quite some time. Here, Very well attended, very clean space, very professional. The lady did not miss my vein like the guy at the public health hospital. Oh, I meant to post that picture here of the bruise that I had on my left arm because the guy couldn't find my vein. And my results are going to be ready tomorrow, so it's like night and day. So I definitely enjoyed my experience at going through. I'm Mule. It's through a school that I work at, so I do have a healthcare plan, but it did make me think, like, if I do get fired in the future or let go, that I would probably get a health plan here in Brazil. I really thought it was very well done and very well managed. And I'm healthy, guys. I ain't got cancer and I ain't got nothing going on with my balls or my prostate. But anyway, it's time to talk to Ron. Is he still with us? Let's see. Let's get him into the broadcast studio. And there's Ron. What's up, man?
Hey guys, you can hear me well, or everything's okay?
Yeah, yeah, perfect.
Perfectly.
Yeah.
Maybe get a little bit closer to your mic, but the sound quality is great.
No,
But
but
we
you
can
can
hear
hear
you
me. I
really
can
well.
I can speak louder. I just
There you
didn't want to
go.
speak. I didn't want to be like overly powerful.
Man, this is perfect
Be as
now.
powerful
Yeah.
as you like.
Be as powerful as you like. Yeah, the louder you are, the better. So
All
that's
right.
fine. So, hey, Ron, you're our first guest on the Brazil Expat Journal, The Return. So you get to hold
I
that
feel
special
I
honor.
feel blessed. Yeah.
You should. And so we're talking about thriving outside Brazil's big cities. Ron is from a city called Mogi Mirim, which is about 129 kilometers from the capital, Sao Paulo city. It's on the east side of Sao Paulo. 93,000 people in this city. So imagine that, guys, going from Sao Paulo, which
Wow.
is 12 million. I mean, if you get the metropolitan area in there, it's about 20 million, and then you got under 100,000 people. So it's a totally different way of life, and that's what Ron's going to talk to us about. I like how he manages it, how he does it. But first, Ron, tell us where you're from and why Brazil. How'd you end up here?
So I'm originally from Ohio, so a little close to Canada, but thank God not Canada. But I I met my wife in the States. So she was studying there, and I met her right before, and she gave me an ultimatum of, if you still want to be with me, you need to marry me and come to Brazil. So almost 11 years later, I'm here.
Nice. Okay. Well, yeah,
Yeah,
Brazilian women will do that. They'll give you
they're
the ultimatum.
very, yeah, strong-minded.
And did you come here with zero Portuguese, or did you know a little bit before you came down?
Less than zero, if that's possible.
Oh boy.
I
No,
hate
that is
Portuguese.
possible. It's a difficult language. I speak it pretty fluently, but I'm with you. I still hate it. I still hate it. It's a difficult language to deal with. Now, when you moved down, did you come to a big city first, or did you go straight to like a little outskirtish town?
No, straight here because her family's from here, so that's where our support system was. So everything started from there. Plus, to be honest with you, I didn't want to live in a larger city because the costs are higher, and we live for free with her parents. They have two houses, so coming here it was a good way to start since I knew no one.
Oh, I can imagine how scary that would be to move into a small city like that, not knowing any Portuguese and not knowing anyone.
And what
So
did
it's good
you
that you
think
had that.
about career choices? Did you have like something lined up before you went, or was like, were you just going to go and figure shit out once you got there?
I was sending money because I actually overstayed in the U.S. because I was supposed to
Okay.
come. I remember I came in September. Actually, I flew on the 11th because it's the cheapest day to fly. Go figure. So then I was there. My wife actually wanted me to come in. I think it was July, and then I was making a lot of money in the States, so I waited. And then she finally said, "Hey, if you don't come by September, don't come at all." So I came. I had some money saved up. We needed for the wedding and a car and stuff. But I started out at Wizard, which was you know how it is. The book is on the
Yeah,
table.
yeah.
And then I used that. I stayed there for 6 years, and I used that to network
Oh
with all the
wow.
people. And then I branched out. Now I work at different companies. I have a contract with FedEx. I work at a school in the afternoon. So and the private stuff as well. So it's pretty nice.
Yeah, yeah. That's the thing about Wizard. It's God. I can't believe you stayed there for 6 years, but it is at least like a foot in the door where you can make some contacts and move on to something better.
I think you need to, like,
Definitely.
before you move on your own, you need to understand how Brazilians tick. So that's what helped
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, when I came down here, I also had an offer from Wizard, but then I learned very quickly that that's not you
Yeah.
can't survive off of Wizard in Sao Paulo. You can't survive off of Wizard salaries. Uh, and by the way, we will have a show about teaching English in Brazil, and we will definitely talk about Wizard and other
Huh.
schools like that. So, but it's cool that you just came down. You had that support system. You did you adapt quickly? Like, what were some of the challenges of moving to a smaller city?
Well, I don't think the small city is a problem. I think more for me was the fact I was going from like a bachelor life to being like swamped with family. I'm not really big on it, so it was suffocating.
Mm.
Because Brazilians, they, especially when you're a foreigner, they want to see you, be around you, ask you the same questions again and again. So I find it a little bit disconcerting the first couple years.
I I didn't even think of that because usually, yeah, if you're moving to a smaller city, chances are, if you're an expat, let's say, is that it's probably your spouse brings you there. And
Typically.
because the spouse has their family there. So that's something to think about, guys, is that you may be swamped by Brazilian families. And yes, Brazilian families are very pegajoso, as they say here. They're very touchy-feely. They need your attention all the time. That can be rough. That can be rough. So how exactly did you manage that? How did you manage it?
Oh,
Did you hide in the basement?
yeah,
Well, they don't have
lot.
basements in Brazil.
Yeah, lots of
Yeah.
alcohol and pretty much I'm a night person, so that didn't gel very well as either. So I had a lot of problems in the beginning, especially with her father. I think he understood it like I was his son, and I needed to make it very clear that that wasn't the relationship. So after that,
Yeah.
it got better.
So you have to put your foot down a little bit. That's interesting though, because yeah, Brazil. When you meet a Brazilian, regardless if it's a man or a woman, and you meet their family, automatically, yeah, you're really part of the family, 100%. You know, you are their child now, and it can be offsetting. I've been in that situation. It's definitely offsetting.
Yeah,
Uh,
a little bit.
which is why I don't live close to anybody that I'm dating because I don't need I don't need that extra um, those extra challenges. But okay, you stayed in Mogi, imagining mostly because the family's there.
Right.
But I mean, did you ever consider moving out? Did you ever think, oh, maybe I could go to another place? You know, what really made you stay? Like, imagine if the family wasn't there, would you have stayed in your town of Mogi?
I think like now looking back, yes, but like in midway through, like maybe like the fourth, fifth year, because actually I think it was the second or third year I was here, I got an offer from IBM. My wife was working there, and I also got an offer to work there, and I had like I was hired, so I actually quit my job, and then I got hired there, and I was doing the intake process, but I didn't have the physical RNE card. I had just the number, the temporary number, because it took a long time. I think it was like 2 years and 2.5 years to get everything document wise. And then right when I was signing the papers, they told me because I didn't have the physical card that legally they couldn't hire me. So I had to go back and get my job that I had just quit and told every student there that I wouldn't be there. It was a bit unnerving. So we
My
were going to
goodness.
move to
Uh,
Campinas. Yeah.
but you stayed in Mogi.
Yes.
But you did stay in Mogi. So let's talk about Moji now. Okay, so if an expat is thinking of moving from a big city, and I'll say for me, that's something that I think about a lot, especially due to the pandemic. We've gone hyper time as far as doing online classes, working remotely. I've always considered moving to somewhere closer to the interior, to the countryside, but now even more because because before I would always think, I don't know, would I be able to sustain myself financially? And I'm thinking, okay, I can definitely do it because I'm doing it right now, basically online. So, what would you tell an expat that is considering moving to a small city? Some things to look out for, some things that are interesting about living in the countryside, benefits, things like that. And then
I
we'll
think
talk
just like
negatives later.
yeah, I think like the positives are like where I live because there's two cities like pretty much connected together. It's Mogi Mirim and Mogi Guaçu. They call Mogi Guaçu the worker city, and obviously the rich people live in Mogi Mirim. But it's not really that, but you can feel the pressure. But as far as like internet and all the things you need to survive in our business, I have 200 megabytes. I don't really have a problem with the lost signal. I mean, I invested extra money to make sure everything works well. But my wife works at Heineken, so she's home office. They signed new contracts now, so everybody's home office for forever. They only go in for something important. So, and food wise, we have many supermarkets, and you have ones that are, how do you say, they attend to people with, more personal needs, like better quality, and then you have some other ones that I don't go to. You have your bakeries. So to be honest with you, I prefer small town because where my house is situated, I can hit the highway very fast. So I usually work in Olambra as well and Posse nearby. So I have everything that I want and nothing is stopping me. So I think this is the key for me. And I like
How
to play
far?
basketball, so it's I do
Right.
have a couple
But
places here.
what do
Go
you
ahead.
do for like? I mean, obviously now it's probably not so much of a factor, but like, what do you do for entertainment in your downtime?
Oh well, I just bought a house, a chakra. So I have 2,300 square meters. I put in a game area. So I have lots of parties actually here. I shouldn't say, but yeah, I have a massive pool, jacuzzi. I have everything that you could want.
And you have it's your wife and you have a kid too?
Yes, yes, Victor. He's 8 years old.
Oh, nice. So I imagine it's nice for the kids. Now, what about for school and stuff?
He studies at the
The
school I
school's
work at in
good and the
Olambra. There are good schools in the area, though. They have there's one pretty decent in I think Mogi Guaçu, but here you have Objetivo and Educar, which are comparable. But my son goes to the school in Olambra where I work because it's one of the better in the region.
okay, so and how far is that from the,
Door
from
to
where you live?
door, because I drive pretty fast, it takes me 20 minutes. But I drive
Oh,
about
that's not too bad.
160, 180.
Oh, that's not that. You drive like I do, which is why I don't drive in Sao Paulo because you can't go very fast here. And but you're close to Campinas. I mean, do you get a chance to, do you go to the big city sometimes if you just need a little bit more entertainment, movies,
I think like
whatever?
once you get married and stuff, like you go there, but like the bar life and stuff is more when you're single. Here I have this, but like it's like when I play basketball, then I drink with the guys afterwards. So like usually maybe Wednesday night and on Sundays we play basketball in the morning. So then we drink until 1 or 2 p.m.
All right. So here's the question: if you were single, how long do you think you could have managed
I,
living
I wouldn't be here. No, no. I would
Yeah,
move at least
I lived
to
in Jundiaí
Campinas.
first year in Brazil, actually, and
It's expensive
Jundiaí
there though,
is
yeah.
yeah, it is actually. It's cheaper than Sao Paulo, depending on the neighborhood you live in. I mean,
I have a lot of
you
students
can get
there.
yes, there are a lot of students, but I mean, it's not that small. It's like 300,000 people. So I
Much
mean,
larger than my city.
yes. So I mean, it's like it it's a it's a small city, but it's still a city. Like it sounds like where you're living is a town more than a city.
I guess, but I think like
And
if you look at the restaurant structure, for me, that's the first thing I look at. Like, what are the
yeah,
caliber of restaurants you're being offered? So if some people from
right.
other cities come here, then I think you're doing okay.
Okay. Yeah, but I mean, for me, like at least twice a month, I would because Junjai is on the line 7, so I would hop on the CPTM and just go into Sao Paulo for the weekend. Like I wouldn't even get a hotel. I would just, I go to a show, finish up at like 4 or 5 in the morning, and take the first train or bus back to Junjai. And after a year of doing that, I was like, "Fuck this shit, man! I'm moving. I'm moving to Sao Paulo because like all the good shit is there." But I think like your situation really illustrates that it's the family life when you have like the family to keep you occupied. Obviously, like a lot of those other things aren't such a concern.
Yeah, but we have I should address the fact that we have 11 dogs as well. So we and we
Jesus
do vacation.
Christ.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We vacation a lot, but I need my mother-in-law. She takes my son to school in the mornings, and I bring him home. So and he has two cousins, and his cousins are one of is like 5 days different. So like these
Okay.
factors are huge, and we have everything here. Like my wife used to run an ong. We have like really tight connections to the community.
Yeah, and I'm looking here. If you can see on the
Yeah,
screen, I'm
yeah. I
looking at
mean, if
this
you're like,
tourism in Mogi. And one thing that is a definite plus whenever I travel to the countryside is just how cleaner it is, the green areas. So that attracts me. I've seen here some places. I don't know if you've been to any of these, Ron, but we got the Complexo de Lava Pés, which looks like a nice little,
It's
green
yeah,
area.
it's not bad. Basically we call that zerão, and that's where they have the
Yes.
basketball, volleyball. A lot of people use it to run and bike.
Yeah, I see here they're calling it Zero. And then what about this Vossoroca?
I think this is like an area they can't even. It's how do you say like national forest or can't even do anything there because they have like some
Oh,
areas
yeah,
that the
just a
city
hiking.
owns.
And then,
Yeah,
of
yeah.
course, mm,
Churches are big here. That's for sure.
and of course,
yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yes,
Jesus
Junjai is
that's a
Christ.
like that as well.
mainstay.
Yeah.
No, but they have like the two main. How
The
do you say?
mainstay in most of these small cities
Two
is you'll know where
Catholic
the
ones. Yeah.
point zero.
I think your voice just like jutted
Oh, we
out.
lost one. There, there you go. We got your back.
Yeah, now you're back.
And do you have like any like little like unique events
Oh,
there?
there
Because I
goes Pete.
remember I only lived in Junjai for like a year, but we had this thing. It was held in April called the Grape Festival,
Ah, yeah.
and you'd think it would be like a wine thing, and it was. It was largely about wine, but they had like live music, and they had this big party they put on in the only park in town. And in July, there's like a Portuguese cultural festival. Like there were a lot of cool little local type events going on. So, do you guys have anything like that there?
I think like the major thing here, not Mogi Guasul, they have like the one of the biggest rodeos. Like it's pretty popular. And then you have I think like end of the year they have some pretty cool parties. Like at the hotel in Zeron, in front of the lake, they have they block off the street and they have like a massive New Year's Eve party. But like as far as like city identity, I think since Bolsonaro and these other people, they've been shutting like a lot of cities are opting out of Carnival, yeah. So we
Oh,
usually
okay.
go to other places. Like here, I don't think we had it, but or it wasn't even good enough to go to.
Is that's like every year or just this pandemic year?
No, I've seen like a trend in like a lot of the smaller cities that usually
Mm.
they start opting out of this because of financial reasons.
Yeah, I saw this. Yeah, there's actually a mayor in Espírito Santo that got real famous because of his like more fiscal responsibility side. And one of the things that he
Yeah,
did is cancel Carnival. He's like, "Nah, all the money from Carnival is going to education." Uh, some other places here in Mogi that look real cute. There's Praça Rui Barbosa, looks real nice. Little square in the middle of the town. We got a municipal zoo.
Yes, yes, but it's
We got
how do you
some
say? I was up
cachoeiras.
and down there, uh-huh. Yeah. There's some
Mm,
nice cachoeiras nearby though, actually. The I went the other day. It's called Sete Quedas, but it's in another city. I think it was about a 55-minute drive. I think in São
mm.
Paulo itself there are lots of waterfalls.
Many, even
This
within the
this cachoeira
capital,
here,
there
there's
are some. That,
three next to this one here. It's not really a waterfall per se, but there's three really nice fish restaurants. So one of my friends owns one. They're very nice, high quality. You spend
I can
you
imagine in real fresh
two
water.
hundred fifty. Yeah, uh-huh. The stadium is fucked
Then you got a
because
stadium.
yeah,
You
but
got the Mogi Mirim
there's no,
team.
yeah, but there's no team anymore. They fucking guy like screwed the team, and yeah, it's a big problem. But the stadium exists. This
Rail
is what
station. That's
this is
always nice. I like going to all rail stations.
they actually converted the rail station is now where the mayor is working out of because he's trying to be fiscally responsible, blah blah blah. And then they have the fair on Wednesday nights there, and I think Sundays. So where they sell all the open air market, you know.
Oh, cool. The Feiras. And then we got
Yeah,
more praças, bunch of praças. Praça
we have
Floriano
many.
Peixoto. And
This
then
one,
we
if
got
I
a cultural
remember, a lot.
centers.
Yeah. Uh huh.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go
Some
ahead.
processes are not as nice as they look here. I think this is one that some homeless people sleep in. Like, if I'm not crazy. Yeah. Now it looks okay. At night it's a little bit more busy.
And then we
Yeah.
got a cultural center, Centro Cultural,
Uh huh.
which is nice. And then we got a nice public library.
That nobody knows where it is, which is I always ask students, you know where the library is, and good luck.
Nobody
Yeah.
knows.
Well, how many libraries
It's
do
like
we have in
here's.
Sao Paulo for crying out loud?
I
You
know
do.
who knows where they are. I know where two of them are. There's one in Villa Lobos
Yeah,
and
I
one
know that
downtown. It's
there's one
very
in
beautiful.
Pinheiros, but I think you actually have to have a university membership to borrow from there.
Yeah, but the libraries in the US, I remember like I try to tell my students when I was a kid, like the library was the shit. Because
Yeah,
you
before
had
the
the
internet, the
movies,
library was the internet.
DVDs, newspaper,
Eh,
you had
yeah,
everything.
you can rent movies.
Yeah,
You
man, it was
know,
crazy
Yeah.
back then. They had like it was like if you were poor, like man, the library was your best friend. 'Cause-
Yeah.
exactly. I lived in my library. I used to rent all my Star Trek movies from the
oh
library.
god.
VHS, and play chess on the computers. We did have some computers back in the day, but and we used to be able to play
Yeah,
online
but the
chess or play
libraries
against somebody else in the library.
the speed at the library was like super fast. Like the internet there
Yeah.
was always
Hmm.
good, like a T1 or whatever was really nice.
Yeah, this was early 90s. So, I miss my library days. I had my little library card. And what is this Espaço Cidadão?
This is like a place where they like group up and have parties.
And then
Looks
we
like
got
a
the
bunker club.
1932 bunker.
That I guess
What
that's
is
like
that?
actually there's some like people that contest whether that's a bunker or not. I remember seeing a post about this because we have the cool thing about small towns is they have the how do you say it's basically like Dado Duro and everything that aconteceu emoji like kind of groups online and they talk about everything. Somebody dies, somebody gets killed, somebody
Mm.
COVID. This bunker, I remember seeing some historian. He negated the fact it was that. He said it was actually used to in the old dictatorships to torture people, and it was not a
Oh,
bunker, in
wow.
fact. And then
Oh
there was a
wow.
big argument about that. But on the face, on as far as here, it says this, but there's it's contested.
Yeah, because here it says that this bunker is actually, look, this is in English here from Estadão. That, oh no, it started in English, now it's in Portuguese. That's weird. Anyway, it was supposedly this bunker that was used during the revolution of 1932
Hmm.
when they were defending the Constitution in 9 de Julho, the 9th of July. And they kind of hit over there. But that's cool. That's another nice thing about smaller cities. You get a lot of history. Mogi was founded like in the 1700s. It's an old city with a lot of history. In 1769, it was founded. So there's a whole lot of stuff to do. So let's talk about some challenges now. What are some challenges of living in smaller cities? Now, you said you invested a lot in internet, so I believe that that would probably be number one for most
Right.
people of concern because mainly digital nomads, as they're called nowadays, would be considering moving outside of the metropolitan areas. So, what are some challenges, and maybe what are still some challenges for you living in a smaller city?
I think like I'm like really fortunate because of the network I have, but like the challenges for me are just like getting the people here to do the work that you need done because they always take on way too many jobs, and it's
Mm.
the I'll be there Monday, theme, and then Monday never comes. So I think that's a major concern in like the smaller cities. There's not enough competition, so they know that they can treat the client however they want.
That's a good point. Although it's a Brazilian problem. Maybe it's
Yeah, yeah. I know it's
exacerbated
not
because
just
you're in a
here,
smaller.
but
Yeah.
you have more options in the bigger cities. So like but here, like the actual decent ones, they know what they can do.
And what
Yeah.
about, for education, healthcare, safety, things like that?
Well, we must be good because we have two hospitals. We have one public one, which was actually founded by the Masons. So it was all before done through volunteer work and donations. Now I think there was a big problem in the city because a previous mayor he wanted to build an actual public hospital because technically it was public, but just because government funds were given to it. So basically, he wanted to steal money and he wanted to build another hospital. So it got vetoed. It didn't happen. And we have the private hospital, which is 22 de Outubro, and that one is pretty great because most of the people in the other cities send their COVID people here.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, they have like
Oh
it's
wow.
all new. Yeah,
What
I've
about
And
never had a
crime though?
problem.
oh, go ahead, Pete.
Yeah, yeah. Because like I said, I spent my first year in Jundiaí, and it didn't have the crime that Sao Paulo does. And Sao Paulo, I mean, by North American standards, it's pretty crime heavy, but by Brazilian standards, especially if you compare it to like North and the Northeast, it's not really that bad, but it's still heavy. And Jundiaí kind of got a trickle down from that. Like it's pretty affluent city, but there was still like a fair bit of crime, like carjackings, people getting their cell phones stolen at gunpoint,
Ah, but
street thugging.
you should look up Olambra where I work. I think it was voted it's one of the safest cities in Brazil.
Oh
I
wow.
think they hadn't had a murder in I don't even know how many years. Like it's crazy. But the city was founded by the Dutch. So again, if you get rid of the Brazilian,
Yeah.
so yeah,
Olambra is the largest producers of flowers and ornamental plants in Latin America.
I
Population is
work there every day.
15,000. Oh,
Small,
wow.
but lots of money.
And it has a spring event, the largest in the country, the Expo Flora. Oh, this is beautiful. Let me
It's massive. Yeah, it's really nice. But that's what I'm saying. Living in a small city, I'm around all these great little cities that have their little quirks, so I can get everything I need.
Yeah,
And you
that's
drive, right? That's how
Yes,
you
yes. So you
manage
have
this.
to.
I
Yeah.
was gonna ask
Yeah.
about
See, that would be a big
transportation.
problem if you didn't drive. I could see the enjoyment factor being minimalized a little bit.
A lot. Yeah, I mean that's what sucks too, right? The cars, because my wife
The
has
heck is that?
but no, we have two cars. So imagine just in what is it, the IPVA? I think we pay around 8,000 a year, and that's outside of the 5,000 for insurance. So just to have the two cars, because you're paying four
Yeah.
percent, so we have 200,000 reais in cars. Man, that's 13,000 reais, and that like people don't make that, normally.
Yeah.
And then we have our house and everything else that we do. Like we bought a timeshare in Olympia, so It's expensive living well.
Yeah, yeah, you
But
pay
it's
for
probably
quality of
still
life.
cheaper than Sao Paulo. Now look at this, guys. Olombra is gorgeous. Look at these.
I'm
We can
telling you, it's
visit
an
a lot
amazing.
of
I thought
flowers.
about living there. Yeah. Oh no, it's really beautiful. It's one of the best kept cities I've been in Brazil. Like literally,
Windmills.
Nice.
yeah, it's so clean. It's one of the clean. But they did have a problem with their lake because there was an oxygen problem. So the fish were dying, but I think they're getting that under control.
Look at that. So yeah, well, that's another thing that I think attracts me about living in these cities in the interior. Because I don't know if folks sometimes understand how big Brazil is. I always to give the example of like take the U.S. and just turn it on its side, north south. You're pretty more or less going to get how big Brazil is on a north to south level. So there's a whole lot more to Brazil than Rio, Sao Paulo, and Curitiba, which are the cities most people go to. And it's the cities where most people in the expat groups are in and bitch and complain about life in Brazil and how it sucks and it's crime and this and that and the third. But I imagine there's so many expats too that are just hidden away in these tiny cities, just having
With
a good time, living their
no
life.
competition. I think that's
Yeah.
the big thing people forget. When you're in the big city, you have a lot of competition there. Like for
Mhm.
Yeah,
me, like as far as like quality, because people say, oh, because you're American or because you're Canadian, whatever, you're already have that advantage. I say, well, not really, because there's a lot of shitty people from the US that don't know how to even speak properly normally in a simple conversation.
yeah,
So don't think that that helps me. Unfortunately.
yeah. But when you are in these small
No,
towns,
for
and
sure.
this is a bad example because my first city in China was actually a city called Handan,
Hmm.
and it's what we would call like a third tier provincial city. Considered a small town by Chinese standards, but it's still like 3 million people. It's 3 million people, small town. That's China for you. But of those 3 million people, maybe about 90 were foreign.
Also,
So
you're good.
definitely you had this celebrity status there. Like everybody knew who you were, and anybody who needed any kind of service from an English speaking person or a foreign person, like the chances of you being contacted for that were excellent.
Yeah, but don't you think like here, like in Brazil, I always see people like, Ron, why don't you open a school? I'm like, no way I'm going to like latch myself onto something like that and kill myself to like make, people happy paying $200 a month. Like I can make easy, like typically on average I make around 15K a month, but I have my like
Right.
20 or more K a month. And I determine my schedule. Like so I can't see like doing that like somewhere else.
Yeah, in Sao
Perhaps
Paulo,
not
it's not
before.
impossible, but it's a hustle.
Yeah,
But not
Yeah,
having the lifestyle that I have here. Because
right,
the
right.
yes.
same the house and everything we have here. I paid it's a $1.2 million house I got for 800 because at the beginning of the pandemic nobody had money.
Yeah. No, I feel you. I feel you. Those are the what I would consider the definite benefits of living outside. And even if you go to a city like Taboão da Serra, when I first moved to Brazil, I
Hmm.
stayed with some friends in Taboão da Serra, which technically is a different city, but I mean it's just like 20 minutes from where I
It's a
live. You know,
suburb. It's a suburb.
it's a
Yeah.
suburb. Yeah, it feels more like a suburb, even though technically it's a different city. But even then, man, a friend of mine bought a house there because he it was literally like a 5 minute walk from where he was living in Sao Paulo to this house in Tabuão. And it would be a house that in Sao Paulo would easily have cost him close to 1 million. I mean,
Exactly. Like
two-story
it's
house with a
crazy.
basement, huge basement, front, two-car garage, beautiful house. He paid, I think, if I recall, it was like 400,000,
Oh,
three to
that
four
was
hundred
yeah,
thousand for this house.
nice.
So that's just going across the street, more or less. So imagine what you can get if you just go couple Ks. outside, or maybe 100K
Yeah, but
kilometers
you guys are single
outside.
guys. Like, imagine you bought a house because like here, if you want to like buy a nice house, typically we have all the dogs, so obviously we went bigger and we're accustomed to the house we were living in previously was large as well. We had like I think we just downgraded bathroom size, but we have more property now. I have 7 bathrooms for 3 people, so I mean you're not gonna get that in the city.
Yeah, I mean, you always have a place to shit. That's nice though.
Yeah, every day of the week,
Uh,
right?
but yeah, I know. Pick a throne for every day of the week. No, that's a super benefit. And like Pete was saying, even in Jundiaí, I mean, you get a little bit of the trickle down effect of some of the crime, but it still feels safer. Like I was in Campinas a lot this past month, and I don't know if it's just a psychological effect or not, but I just felt safer. Like I would walk around at night, look on take my phone out. There were no homeless people. It's surprising that you said that there's homeless people in this plaza, but there were zero. I have a friend in Campinas, and I asked him, like, where are your homeless people? Like, I haven't seen one, and I've been going
Yeah.
all over this city night and day. And he's like, yeah, we just don't have them. And the city's clean, and it's a
Wow.
city of over 1 million or two. So,
Yeah.
but then I've been to like Capivari, or no, Caçapava, São José dos Campos, which are bigger cities. Itu.
Yeah, my
Uh,
wife, that's where the Heineken factory is because they bought skin. So she works
oh, they
there,
bought
but
skin
now,
now.
yeah, yeah.
Okay,
So
because I know
yeah,
it's Brazil Kirin. That's how I got to it too. Because I was teaching at Brazil Kirin. Well, it used to
yeah.
be Skin
E2
Carriol, but then it got.
is the city of big things, right? Giant shit.
Yes, very big things.
They just
Yes.
renovated the downtown part there, I think.
Oh, I gotta go back and see. It was so cute.
Yeah.
But lovely towns. Like when I was there, I was like, wow, I could move here tomorrow and I'd be happy. Uh, and if you have a car, I guess the way you can think of it is just like Sao Paulo. And that's the thing. You get in a city like Sao Paulo, yes, you do end up going out, go downtown, maybe go to Pinheiros every once in a while, go to Vila Madalena, whatever. So you do go out, you have these options. But a lot of times, just because the city's so big, your neighborhood ends up being your city. Like Butanta alone has about 300,000 people in it. So if I
Yeah.
didn't want to, I really don't need to leave Butanta. I just happen to like exploring the city. But if I just wanted to say, okay, Butanta is the quote unquote city where I live, I could do it. And that's what makes me think, hey, I could live in the interior. I mean, if I have a place that's as big as Butantan, it just happens to be a city in the countryside, and I got a car that in 30, 40 minutes, maybe I can go to Campinas or even back to Sao Paulo for a party or something, I think I could be happy. Because it takes about an hour and a half to just go from one side of Sao Paulo to the other. I could do that
Yeah.
driving on a
At
highway.
least.
Yeah,
So,
because from Mogi Mirim to Sao Paulo, I think it takes like a little under 2 hours. Like Campinas is like 50 minutes. Like depends on who's driving. But
yeah.
for me, Sao Paulo is close enough. I don't want to be closer than that. Like, if I want Sao Paulo, I go there usually for like races. So then I'll go on Friday night and stay with some friends, and then I can have all the fun that you have there, and then get to come back home.
Yeah, I used to
No,
do that in Jundiaí, and it's funny. There's this place I used to go to a
What is
lot
this? They
when I lived in
chat during the
Jundiaí.
thing. You don't like the coast. Is this a question from someone?
Because I think at the beginning we were talking about
No.
moving to a smaller city, and I think Pete mentioned coastal cities, but I said I don't like the coast. I prefer moving inland. I
Okay,
definitely
sorry.
prefer inland to the coast. And yeah, I just don't like. First of all, thanks Charles for listening and commenting. Uh, we are live, guys, so you can ask questions, but we're happy when you listen later. And so, yeah, he said this about you don't like the coast. And guys, I just don't like the coast. Uh oh. Uh oh. I think my computer is going crazy.
About the shit the bed.
Alarms going off. Let me put the computer somewhere cooler because I got it on my bed, so I think it's overheating.
But I can't believe it. You don't
Uh,
like the coast. You don't like. Have you traveled a lot inside of Brazil? Because I find like
yeah, I
many
don't like
people
coastal
don't travel.
cities.
Yeah.
I don't like coastal cities
You
very
don't like
much.
Rio de Janeiro.
Oh, I hate Rio. That's like my
You
least
don't like
favorite place I've been to.
Copacabana,
Nah, well, Copacabana was okay. It was okay, but
Lapa?
nah, I don't.
No.
I'm not a fan of Rio at all. I got a lot
Oh,
of friends in Rio, but I really am not a fan of Rio. But that's just a personal, personal choice or personal whatever feeling.
hold
Because
up.
even in the U.S., I wasn't big on going to the beach. I prefer being in the cities or inlands. So that's just me. I like the mountains and the lakes and the rivers, but never been a big beach guy. But let me see here. Um, well, you already talked a little bit about pretty much, you said it all pretty much as far as living in the city or in a smaller city. What the point I was trying to make though was this whole idea of treat these smaller cities almost like a baihu, like a neighborhood, and then you're close enough to all these different little mini cities where I think your life wouldn't be as boring as you imagine it would be. I think you can actually find.
No, there's a lot to
If you
do.
have a car, if you
Yeah,
have a
yeah,
car.
that's a, yeah. I think that should
Yes,
be a
that's a
key point.
must.
Yeah, it's like but it's like the U.S., right? Come on, you can't like live without a car in the U.S. Everything is like they don't say how many
I don't know.
miles.
I've
You
never had
say
a driver's
minutes.
license in my
Yeah,
life. I've managed without it for my entire life.
you probably save a
But
lot of money.
yeah,
No, I mean if you're
exactly.
living in
That's
the
why.
burbs, no, you definitely need a
Yeah.
car if you live in the burbs. It's just a lot cheaper to buy a car there than here. But you definitely need one. When I moved to Philly, I just left my car at my mom's house. I definitely never drove in the city of Philadelphia. But when I was back in Jersey, definitely I had my
Oh,
little car.
I forgot though. You said you wanted like a negative. I didn't really say anything negative here. I forgot to say diversity. I think like that's really missing in these small towns. They're very white.
Yeah,
So
Oh,
Jundiaí was like that as well. Yeah.
because it's near like all
Very,
the
very
companies.
Germanic
Yeah.
and Italian.
hmm Same thing here. Big Italian. The other city's Dutch. Like I don't know where. Like, cause Brazil is what like more than 50% black, and I don't know where they're
Yeah.
hiding everybody.
well,
Northeast.
yeah, Northeast. That's what I was gonna say. It's mostly Northeast, and in a way, I mean, it depends on the city. But culturally speaking, people that move to the interior, it's almost like a power move for a lot of folks. Cause like what you're saying, you have a better quality of life as far as safety, maybe bigger house, bigger this. You have a job that's going to be able to sustain you. Um, because not as many work opportunities in the smaller cities as there are in the big cities. So if you're talking just plain old Brazilian, and it's interesting because in this article from BBC, they talk about that towards the end. That this is a trend that's happening mostly for upper middle class kind of liberal, kind of university folks and stuff like that, because they got the money. They got the money to be able to do it.
It takes money to be transient. Like
Yeah,
just
no, it
pick up and
definitely
leave.
Yeah.
does.
But I think that's
And
like Brazil's best kept secret is like where do you keep your black people? Because even I have one black student, she didn't even identify as black. Like her, I think it's her father's black and her mother's white. She's from Rio, and she technically
Yeah.
doesn't. There's a lot of black people in Brazil. It's not like the U.S. U.S. is like one drop of black in your heritage, and you're black. Like
yeah,
here, man. You look at the person. I'm like, you're definitely black. I'm, I mean, I'm not like a geneticist, but I think you qualify for black. They're like, are you sure?
I actually had this married couple that I taught. Enrique and Priscilla are their names, and they both worked for a major bank here. I'm not going to say which one, but they were both like 50-50, and he identified as white, which he was clearly not, like absolutely not white at all. Although I wouldn't have pegged him as black. I actually thought he was Latino, and his wife identified as black. And he explained his reasoning as being that her mother was like completely black, and she was subjected to a lot of racism when she
hmm
was growing up, and Priscilla really identified with her. And so she just kind of like took on that black identity, which is fine because I mean, if you looked at her, you'd say, yeah, she's black. But if you looked at him, you'd say he's black too. And he's like, no, I identify as white. It's like,
No, but that's a complete
okay, you
switch from
guys,
the US, right? They like
It's
there.
a
yeah,
complete switch, guys, and it's a
That's
complicated topic. We talk a lot about this within the Black expat community. It's just we just accept it as it is. We respect that Brazilians have had a different history as far as race identification, race relations is concerned, mainly because of how much mixing there was here, and there was
but do you
almost
do you ever ask the question? Because they always ask, like, they always think, I always tell them, hey, remember in the US we have the black population represents what, 12.5 to 13%.
yeah.
But they, if you ask a Brazilian, they think like half the US is black. Like,
I know.
because you feel their voice much louder than what they
Then
feel
down
more
here,
internally. Yeah, yeah. I think it's because here I feel like our racism in the US is like more drawn. Like we know where it is. It's not like hidden. And here it's more covert and financially related,
yeah,
more
yeah. That's a
classism.
whole other topic, guys. That's a whole other show. We may have a show on that. Trust me. But that's a whole can of worms you were opening up.
No, but it's fun. I teach like sometimes a
Yeah.
course about whitewashing because Brazil is like
Hmm.
the greatest example ever.
Yeah, I mean, most black expats, if you ask them if they feel more racism here or in their home country, including myself, will say here, like at the drop of a dime. It's just like you said, it's covert. It's not out in the open. They're not going to call you this and that out in the open, but it's clear, defined lines of who belongs where and who can
Go
do
to the
what
schools,
job.
right? Just go to the schools. You see it. I don't have black students. I don't even have the opportunity to teach them. They're just
Yeah.
it's very
I'd
strange
say
to
for
me.
me they're about 20%.
For me is would be like what, 3%.
But you're living in like this like majority white enclave,
Yeah,
which
basically.
probably affects that. Yeah.
No, but the garbage
No,
man for
I've had
God's
quite a
sake
few black
is all
students.
black, right? The driver was
Right.
white. How is that not racism? The driver is white and everyone else working is black. Like, and nobody sees it because they're not looking for it. But it's like evident in everything you look at. All the maids, my maid is black. My gardener is black. Just my pool guy is white.
Oh, that's something. That's
Yeah,
something.
but it's because he works for like the richest. Not here. I don't live in a condominium, but he works for like all the rich people. That's why.
Well, you need to ask your maid where she lives, so then you can find out where they're keeping the black people. But check this out, guys. We're gonna get put Ron on the spot because at the end of the broadcast, we usually do the expat challenge. And be prepared, Ron, because if you fail this quiz,
Oh
when
God.
Lula becomes president again, you may be deported. Okay, so be on your
He's
so
he's,
so be on your best.
but
Do your
remember
best here.
here, conservatives liberal, liberals conservative. It's all fucked, right?
Oh yeah, it's living in Brazil. Um, anyway, 10 questions. Answer them,
Oh
succinctly and
God.
whatever the first thing that comes to your head. Number one, best thing about Brazil.
Best thing about Brazil, I
Yes.
would say the voluptuous shapes of the women.
Well, I think Pete would
Can't
agree.
argue with that.
I
No,
know
I'm more of a
Crumb.
Chinaman myself.
Yes, he's definitely Chinaman. I tell you, Crumb. The cartoonist writer Crumb, who was prolific with his bums in his cartoons. When he came to Brazil, he was in heaven. I mean, he just was like, "What? This is
Ah,
what I've been drawing my whole life." And then yes, definitely. And what about question number two? The worst thing about Brazil?
the worst thing, the
Yes,
most of the water is not treated.
I
Eh,
can understand
No, we're
that.
but that's
spoiled.
because of the whole toilet paper thing. I still flush it down the toilet. I don't care.
What a rebel! Yeah, I'm sure I could do it, but I've just so afraid. Like I can't afford. I already had a toilet
Yeah.
issue.
I
And
run
Yeah.
the water longer. I do like the 20 seconds, flush. So it makes
Yeah.
it out of
Okay.
my.
No,
But
China and
guys, for
Thailand had the same plumbing problems. So for me, this was like the easiest thing to adapt to.
I couldn't do it. It's like a mental lapse for me.
guys, for those that don't know what the hell we're talking about, in Brazil, if you come down here one day, you'll find that there's a little wastebasket next to the toilet because after you take a dump and you wipe yourself clean, you're supposed to throw the toilet paper in the little bin because the plumbing supposedly, although I've heard a lot of good arguments to say that this is BS, and maybe in some very old houses it was like this, and nowadays it's just they've done it for so long that they're it's like what they do. But yeah, you're not supposed to flush anything down the toilet. But even if you go to like these real ritzy shopping malls and stuff like that, it'll have a plaque in the bathroom saying, "Do not flush toilet paper down the toilet."
Yeah.
So it's a thing down
And you
here.
will often see toilets that have been fucked up because of people doing
Yeah.
exactly that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's what keeps me afraid. It's like I want to so bad to just flush it down the toilet, but
But
nah, I
I
got a little
replaced
bag.
all my plumbing in the house is all new. So
Okay.
I know the size of the pipe, so I'm fairly confident.
All right. Well, you've
Yeah.
never seen me shit, man. It's I've clogged the
Yes.
toilet up with just the log, so I'm
Yeah.
not confident in throwing the toilet paper in afterwards.
Yeah.
Question
One
number
thing about
3. Oh,
Thailand
go
that
ahead.
was really nice though is that instead of having the basket, that you didn't even need to use toilet paper in Thailand. They have these high-powered, high-pressure hoses that you use to like just literally blast your ass clean, and
I
it's
use
it's
this.
like
Mine is
yeah, yeah,
hot. Yeah, I use this. I'm all for this. Like for me, the toilet paper is actually to dry my ass, not to clean it.
yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah. I mean,
I'm a
it's
patter.
just
I say I don't wipe. I pat.
Well,
yeah,
there's a lot of evidence to support padding and dabbing because it's very rough to go back there and use the toilet paper can cause hernias and tears and a whole bunch of other stuff.
No,
So
this is amazing though.
you guys are
Never
ahead of the
feels
game.
nice.
You guys.
Yeah.
Number 3. What is your favorite food? Brazilian food, obviously.
Is it like for winter time or like more in the summer?
Whatever your favorite food is to eat here in Brazil. Favorite Brazilian dish or whatever.
I really like mandioca soup.
I've had that. It
wow,
is delicious. It is
But the
delicious.
variations, they put the meat inside of it, like the little
Mm-hmm.
hamburger meat, and then it's a little spicy too.
Oh yeah, it's real tasty. And mandioca, guys, uh, is this root that you have here. I guess in the States they call it yucca root or manioc. There's like a whole bunch of different names for it.
Yeah.
And mandioca soup is real tasty. Look at this. I'm gonna put it up on the screen so people can see what that looks like. Let me share my screen real quick. There's the mandioca sopa, and there you go. It's hearty. I've had this before. It's really
I like it.
delicious. Yeah, that'll fill you up. That'll definitely fill you up.
I don't think I have.
You haven't had mandioca soup?
No.
Oh
Jesus
man,
Christ.
Pete, where you're living now, you're close to this padaria that usually
Yeah.
has like the Festival de Sopas. The soup festivals in
Yes.
the
Yes, they
winter.
do. They do.
Yeah, I think it's called Princesa do Butantã, something like that. But anyway,
Try it out, man. You're
try it out. Yeah, that's all I can say. Try
it's
it out.
hearty.
Right. That's good.
Definitely.
But you've
Least
never
favorite
had
food?
Akara J, Phil.
Huh?
Phil has
No, but I
never
don't
had
eat.
Akara
Yeah,
J.
yeah, I don't eat
Carajé
that.
is from the Northeast. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
spicy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
It's
they
good.
sell it at a lot of places here.
But here you can get all kinds of strange meats. I go to like the reservoir. I think what is it? That one in a can. It's like lata. It's a different type of wild pig, javali. I think.
Oh, I saw Javali the other day. But
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, they come this far inland. What's your least favorite food in Brazil?
Least favorite food.
Mhm.
Actually, you've made me hate French fries.
The Brazilian French fry.
I'm tired of like seeing you guys eat French fries like it's a meal.
Oh man, come on. Well, the Brazilian fries I think are a little better than the American fries. They're like baked. I don't know if they actually
No
fry
way.
them.
They put cheese on it, but they don't melt the fucking cheese. It doesn't make any sense.
Oh,
You pay
that is
extra
disgusting. No, I don't
for
like
cheese and
that.
bacon, and it's like it's the lowest quality I've ever seen.
No, that's
Yeah.
disgusting. Yeah, yeah. No, I don't like
And
that.
they don't put enough. I don't even want to go there. They don't put enough. They don't put enough any sauce. Anytime you buy a sauce, they must imagine that the sauce is there just for fun.
Yeah.
Like here, do you
No,
want
I
some
What
get
do
you.
you
ketchup?
think of Brazilian stroganoff? Because that's the one that drives me crazy. Like
But they put it on
stroganoff,
pizza,
and yes, they do. They do.
and it's
Actually,
gourmet.
Brazilian
Gourmet,
pizza.
man.
Actually, some of the varieties, probably deserve consideration for that answer as well.
Yeah.
None of the pictures of fries. This is not what it looks like in the restaurant. Let's be honest.
No, this looks just as disgusting to me. I don't like this. If it's just regular fries, I'll deal with it. But this stuff, my
Yeah,
little
but then
brother likes to
you
eat this stuff.
imagine. Okay, so I can eat the fries, but then the point is like I want the right ketchup. I want Heinz ketchup. I don't want this like
Well,
runny red stuff that comes out of like this cheap package that I can't even open.
and there you go. One negative of living in a small town because we got Heinz over here, brother. Yeah, we got good fries. We got good fries. But not this. I don't like this. This is very, very
But you have the
disgusting.
be honest though, the Brazil has the world's worst fucking napkins. It's like fucking plastic.
Oh, yes, the well, they're good for rolling up a doobie, but yes, but not the
We were in
best.
the rain, drinking in the rain, and we had some food there. They were eating, and the napkins were sitting there, and it was repelling the water. So I don't
Yes.
know.
Uh, Here, guys.
Every buteco has these fucking napkins. It drives me
Yeah, and
nuts.
they're the worst. They don't well I can't find the picture of one now, but they're just these little wax papers and they're
Yeah,
good
that's
for
exactly what they are. They're pieces of
Yes.
wax.
yeah.
And they're like impossible to get out. Like you can't just take one. You take like half the
No, no, you take
container.
like half the fucking container.
Oh god. They're so horrible they don't even market them.
Oh, there they are. It's these right here. Wait, I'll show you
Yes,
guys if
that
you
is them exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, you
they're the
got it. Oh,
worst.
you got okay, yeah, 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 yeah. And they're good if you're a weed smoker, they come in handy. But otherwise,
They're absolutely
they're
useless.
useless. They don't clean your hands. They don't do anything. But Brazilians seem to love them. Moving right along. What is your favorite Brazilian drink? Question five.
But this is so cliche, right? I mean, caipirinha. So
You gotta
That's
love the
fine.
Camparinas.
yeah,
That's fine. A lot of people answer caipirinha.
Even the
I
cheap,
know.
shitty ones are good.
yeah, because it's like you feel like you're in beach mode. I don't know why, but as soon as I start my vacation, I feel like I need one.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
good, man.
There
If you
used
got
to be this club. It still exists on Lower Augusta, but obviously they haven't been doing their usual events. But they have like these open bar nights, and yeah, my drink of choice for the night is always a Caparina.
But like drinking like day drink, like I love Cuba because Mogi Mirim used to be like the city of Cuba. So I
Cuba
drink a lot of
Libre.
this. Yes, I drink a lot of this. Yeah, they used to make like a package deal that you get the Coke and the Bacardi together. So
I prefer the caipirinhas to the caipirosca too, because the caipirosca
the
is made
waffle.
with the
Yeah, okay.
vodka.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although I have had a caipi sake, whatever you would call that, and that will knock you out. That will knock you out. It's
Yeah.
Yeah.
delicious though.
I lived in Japan. I'm
Uh,
not like a big fan of sake.
I don't
I
like
call
it.
it I call it a piss water. Like
No, it doesn't taste very good. I've tried it just straight, not good at all. But with the caipirinha, like whatever, that was
yeah,
good,
because
man.
the
It knocked
lime
me
is
out. And
acidic.
I
Yeah.
had three in a row. I had the caipi vodka, whatever
Mhm.
caipirosca, and then I had a caipirinha, and then I had a caipisaki. And my friend found me in the fetal position in the bathroom, but he did its work. And I was still like, the buildings were still swinging. Next day. But yeah, caipirinha, guys, the national Brazilian drink. Most foreigners will answer that because it's fucking good. You know, it's the first drink I had when I got off the plane here in Brazil, and it's made with sugar cane and whatever, either cachaça, which is like this Brazilian spirit,
Yeah, you
which
should get
is
it with
made from
51.
sugar
Of
cane
varying
and
quality,
lemons,
very
right?
quality.
Or in this case, it would be a lime. And either you can put vodka in there with the lime and sugar, you can put the cachaça there with the lime and sugar, or even some sake. And it's nice. It's a good drink.
Yeah, and you can mix it with all kinds of different fruit too. Like I like the pineapple
Oh,
one.
yes. And
Maracujá is pretty good, but the
yeah,
fucking
yeah,
seeds
yeah.
gets caught up in the straw.
And you can get the
That's true.
batidas if they put some, what is that, leite
What's
condensado or something. You can do the
yes.
batidas,
The one I
which
didn't
is a
like is the
girly drink.
caju, the cashew one. I did not like that.
Oh, yeah. Cashew is awesome. Best place to visit in Brazil? Question number 6.
Does it
Moving
have to
right
be
along.
close or it can be anywhere?
Anywhere, brother. Anywhere in Brazil. What do you? If you're telling somebody what's the best place to go?
Best place to go. Huh. Man, it's impossible to answer. But to be honest, for me, if you want to come here and get the Brazilian vibe, I think you for me you have to go to Rio. Like it's just too much tradition. Was like the capital, right? The pseudo capital of Brazil.
At one point, it was the capital.
Yeah,
I think it was
but
the
in the
first.
minds
No, no, the
of
first capital was
foreigners,
Salvador,
yeah.
and then it moved to Rio and then Brasilia.
But I would be like Rio. You need to go to Rio. You need to go to Bahia, Salvador. Then you need to go to Sao Paulo. Those three to get like a feel of Brazil.
Yeah, I can't argue with that, even though I'm not a fan of Rio at all. But it is a place to visit at least once. And question 7, I got a choice here between two
Great.
things. Best overrated aspect of Brazil, or it could be a location that everybody's wild about, and you're like, yeah, it's not really that amazing.
Overrated aspect of Brazil
Yeah,
about the fact that they say people are so fucking nice.
that's a good one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
That's a
get
good one
so tired
because.
of hearing that.
Go ahead.
yeah, they're so warm. They're so warm.
Yeah, yeah, because
The the
plotting.
funny thing
They're
is,
plotting
though,
against you.
they
That's what it
are.
is.
Yeah, the thing is, they are, but only to your fucking face. You
Yeah.
know, that's the
Like, can you
thing.
believe that idiot American? He probably only takes one shower a week.
Yeah, guys, this is rough. It's funny you mentioned that because I just posted something in the expat groups. This American guy kind of went viral with a tweet about, was it being kind and being, oh, I forgot now, being kind and being nice. In any case, he was making this example between the West Coast and the East Coast. Like they're nice, but they're
Mhm.
not kind, and the West Coast is
I
kind but
saw
not
that.
nice.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
felt it.
basically, like it broke down to this thing where, like in California, and on the East Coast in general, of course, super generalization, but somebody will see that you're cold and they'll say, "Oh my God, you look so cold. Are you okay? Do you have a place to
Was that East
stay?"
Coast? No, no. I think he said the East Coast was like "fuck you," but I'll help you. West Coast was like, "Oh
Exactly.
my
Yeah.
God," but I won't
Exactly.
help
That
you.
yeah. That would be the West Coast, and so, but they won't help you. They'll just be like, "Oh my God, you look like you're
No,
in
they'll
a
post
real
a
dire
video
straits."
on Instagram. Like, did you see this homeless person? Oh my God, I'm
Yes.
traumatized.
Exactly. Whereas on the East Coast, it's like like you said, like Ron said, fuck you, but yeah, I'll help you carry your stroller up the escalator. And so I posted that in the expat groups because I was just wondering what people's thoughts were about, are Brazilians kind but not nice, or nice but not kind? And I think Sao Paulo's got a mix. I think here, people are in a rush, but if they
Yeah,
see somebody, they'll help them. I've been helped plenty of times by
I've been
Brazilians.
helped out a lot of times,
Yeah.
No, but they are very
But
helpful.
but
But
it's
if they
more in the
please,
people who you think are your friends,
oh, but
Yes.
and then when you actually, I mean, not that I've actually ever asked people for help, but when you need it, like they're like, yeah, you're on your own, buddy.
I know.
oh no,
No, I'm like that, man. And that, real quick, because we want to get through this, but I think that's one reason, guys. It's important to have somewhat of an expat community, or just a group of people that you can count on, because I just, and it's sad to say this about a whole nation of people, but I just don't count on Brazilians. I've been here for 11 years and I just don't count on them. Well, maybe one. I can think of one person that, okay, if I knew that I'd be homeless tomorrow, I could stay at her house.
You,
That's
you got two
about
houses
it.
you can add, but I'm not Brazilian. So if you want to stay
Well,
in
yeah, that's the
one
thing.
of the
That's the
guest
thing.
bedrooms.
Um, but yeah, so whatever. It is kind of sad. Um, okay, Mogi Mirim, what is the best place to visit in your city?
Best place to visit in my city.
In Mogi
I'm
Mirim.
biased. Yeah, I would say my house.
There you go. We're coming.
Sounds good.
Yes.
There's 7 bathrooms, folks. So
Yeah.
there's space enough for everybody.
All
I
toilet
like
paper
that.
ready.
And all right, number 9. Favorite Brazilian artist or band?
Wow. I think you have the musical talent, but I'll be honest, I'm not really into it. Uh I don't know. Like what, because I have a jukebox here and they were playing the other day. What's that really famous rock band? They oh, really bad name.
Paralamas?
Nope, nope, not the ones that died. The
Skank?
it's Nope, wasn't them.
Hmm.
I'm trying to remember the name. I'll have to come up with it.
Legião
But to be
Urbana.
yes, that's what it was. Yeah,
Legion
yeah,
Urbana. Well, he died too. Their lead singer
yeah.
died from
He did, but I
AIDS.
actually saw them last year. Um, they played, and it was just like two of the original members with a new
Hmm.
drummer and singer. But
Yeah, but I'm
yeah,
not
no,
into like
they,
this scene here.
Yeah, Renato Russo. I'm not a big fan of theirs at all, but they are an institution here in Brazil. They are an absolute
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
institution. No, not Paralamas. Legião Urbana. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and Renato Russo. All right. And last question. One word of advice for folks that maybe are thinking of coming to Brazil, or maybe even thinking of moving to a smaller city.
One word of advice.
Quick advice, yeah. What would you say?
I think the key thing is just to make sure that you have a support system in place.
I think that's the most important advice.
yeah, that would have been
Because
good advice before I came here.
it would have been great advice before I came here, because I did it on my own for about 3 or 4 years, and I just banged my
The,
head on walls and was just like, I was
the
ready to
struggle is
go.
real.
Yeah,
I
and
was making
because
700 reais the first 6 months here. I almost killed myself.
Oh man, yeah, I
yeah,
had it for
it was
700 a month.
it was rough. It was rough. I think I was about, yeah, I think there was a month where I made 700 between 2009 and 10, and then I started to figure shit out, and I was like, okay, that ain't
Yeah,
happening
yeah. It
again.
takes some time to understand the system, but like in the beginning, it's slow. So you got to put in the time and pretty much just take your slaps on the wrist.
Yeah,
It's
one thing I found is that the network is really important, and if you don't have that network when you first get here, it takes a long time to build up. Like for
It's like
me,
on the
mostly
outside looking
like
in, right?
yeah,
Yes,
yeah, like
and Pete, you were a little bit fortunate because you came what, 2015, 14, around that time. There was a little,
2014. Yeah,
yeah, there was a bit more of a network then when Ron and I came, because Ron said came here about 11
The
years ago.
same.
There was nothing. It was Orkuchi, and there were
Oh yeah,
no
that was the
expat
Orkuchis were all
group.
the Indian
This,
guys. Yeah.
yeah, the expat groups here now are like, there's a bunch. I run an expat site. The worldwide expats. We got like we're coming up on 5,000 members, but then there's Gringos, which has like over 50,000 members. This stuff wasn't happening back in the day. Now they even have like little subgroups, gay expats in Brazil, black expats in Brazil, women expats in Brazil, expats for your particular city, Curitiba expats. So the support system's there, and you really do need it. Although I'm a great supporter of and champion of immersing yourself in a country, I don't think it's cool when expats come to a new country and just live
yeah,
as if they're still in America or England or whatever. It's like, no, you're in a different country. Immerse
But
yourself.
from a professional aspect, you really need to network with Brazilians, and
Yes.
that's where most of my good fortune has been coming from the past year. Is people that I worked with like 4 or 5 years ago, giving recommendations to their coworkers and their
What the hell is that they
friends.
say here? K and Dika. What is it? QE, yeah?
Yeah, Kenjika. It's not
Yeah,
what you know, it's who you know in Brazil.
Yeah.
exactly.
It's all
Ah,
about
but it's
that.
like planting the seed though, like what he said. I planted the seeds from when I first started here, so now I'm harvesting all that hard work.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
it takes a long time. It takes a
Yeah, 10
long time.
fucking
Yeah,
No, it
and I mean,
does.
it didn't help that we had this like really rough patch with Lava Jato basically collapsing the economy, and
Yeah, but they're all getting out of jail. How fucking what a waste of time that was.
yes, I know, but
Yeah.
there were real consequences to that. Like people weren't spending money. I thought COVID was gonna completely kill the business altogether, but
No, it's made it better.
people quickly
Every time they
realized that
squeeze.
yeah. Yeah, no, people quickly realize that, like, okay, business is just going to continue normally. We're just going to do it in a different way. And, I feel bad for the people in the service industry who are getting fucked over by this and small business owners. But, for people in like secure positions, which is where, we three make most of our money, things are still pretty normal and stable.
The
Yeah, for
food
sure.
industry is
Yeah.
booming.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, it
definitely. We
is.
lucked
It
out a
is
little
booming.
bit. Yeah, guys. I mean, that's the kind of stuff we will continue to talk about in the Brazil Expat Journal. Just survival skills. Brazil's not like the famous quote by Jobim, I believe, Antonio Carlos Jobim. Brazil's not for amateurs. It's a roller coaster ride here, but if you network not only with other expats but with Brazilians, you have to learn some of the language too. That's very helpful. It's
Right, Pete?
manageable, and you can flourish. You can flourish.
Yeah, I know. I'm with Ron. My Portuguese is like almost non-existent. I can understand it. That's the thing. I can understand it because when
No, but I
it's the
get paid to do
language that your life
translations.
exists in,
I
you
understand it really well. I just hate it.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
it's the grammar. You start trying to put a
Yes.
sentence together, and people are just give you this look like a cat, like where they tilt their heads sideways, like what the fuck did you just say? It's like
But you
okay,
exactly.
can
this
say
is
it,
why I
but
don't
you can
even
say it
fucking try.
perfectly though. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like I can say something like it's perfect, and they'll look at me like I'm like retarded or from another planet.
I don't think it's as bad as China though. When I was in China, because obviously you have a face that's not Chinese, and you say
Yes.
like perfect Chinese, they don't expect it to come out of your mouth. It's like, oh my god, he's an alien.
Yeah, I feel you. I feel you. I have that issue maybe a little bit more exacerbated because I was born here and grew up in the US. So I went there when I was
So you're
6. So I look and sound when I'm speaking Portuguese more or less. I have a slight accent like a Brazilian. So then when I start getting all my verb conjugations wrong, especially when I have to talk in the past tense, they give me that look like, what's up with this guy? Like, I guess he didn't finish grammar school, you know? So it took me a while to feel confident about speaking Portuguese because I would feel like that, like, oh, people are gonna think I'm just either illiterate or I didn't finish school or something, and I'm a black dude, so that would kind of make sense. But so I just studied up. I got a little bit better, but it's a rough language. But support system is the key, guys. Support system is the key. That's why we're here. Ron, do you have any? Uh, like I don't know,
closing
social
words or something,
media,
something that
anything you want to share like that, where people can get it in touch with you,
uh,
or would you rather stay
they can just
anonymous?
look up. Yeah, just look up my name. I don't do any marketing because, like you said, it
Hmm.
just the people refer you, so it's enough for me. The
Cool.
oddball people you get that don't know you is it's just a waste of your time. I'm sure Peter can understand those visits.
Yes, the I want to
Yes.
learn English fast for tomorrow.
Yeah.
for for cheap.
Or cheap.
Yeah,
Yes.
not just fast, but cheap, and no homework and no books.
Exactly,
Yes.
and 1 hour a week, or the famous 2 hours, right? Because somehow a language is learned 2 hours a week.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
this
There's a
this
lot.
guy actually wanted 5 classes a week, but I mean, like, oh, I can't.
I saw your
I don't
price.
have
These
time for 5
600.
classes a
So,
week.
what are you guys
Yeah, no,
charging
I
there, by
offered
the
him
way?
3 classes a week for 600,
But what's
which
your
I
typical price there? Because I charge 75 an hour and 100 for pairs. What are you guys charging?
yeah, I charge usually about 60. So
Uh-huh.
for 3 classes
Shit.
a week, you'd be getting 2 free classes.
Gotcha. But do you
Yeah. The
get better
average in
deals
Sao
if people buy more?
Paulo. No, you could go more. The average in Sao Paulo is between 80 and 110 an hour. And I've raised my
What is
Yeah,
rates.
Peter doing?
I'm not gonna say by how much, but I have raised my
yeah, I
rates.
was charging 100 for a while, but I just got turned
Uh-huh.
down too many times that it was
Really?
like, okay, yeah,
But for me, 75 is like right in the bread and butter there. Like I don't, and I always get prepaid, so I don't get paid after.
yeah,
Yes.
same here. I money up front, money up
Yeah,
front.
yeah. I don't play the game anymore. Like, did that class count? I canceled it like 3 hours before. Blah blah blah.
No, I feel you. But anyway, guys, just to close out, because it is getting late and I do have to be up tomorrow early. um,
Yeah,
Don't
I
we
just want to
all?
thank I want to thank Ron for coming on, talking some small town living. If anybody out there lives in a small town and you want to come on and talk about life in your small town, you're more than welcome to, because that's a topic that is really interesting to me at the moment because it's something that I want to do. You know, I want to get out of Sao Paulo. Moving to Butantan is like my sort of happy medium, you know, where I feel a little bit as if I'm not in the center because, you know, we're across the river. But yeah, I love to talk to people who are living lives that are a bit different than the usual expat life. So that's very cool that you've managed to make a life for yourself out there, Ron. And like he said, if you want to
Thanks.
reach out to him, check him out on Facebook. I'll link that down at the
Or
bottom, and
Instagram.
or
Yeah.
Instagram. Is your Instagram the same? Ron Sides. Say your
Yeah. I
last
think
name.
it's Stein. I think it's actually Steiner 84 or something like this.
All
84
right.
12. Yeah.
Send me the links via Facebook Messenger. I'll put them in the description of the
Perfect.
video after we're done. And that's about it, guys. I want to thank all of you for listening to the Brazil Expat Journal, the BJ you can trust because you can't trust every BJ out there, you know. And that is about it. I'm going to play some outro music so y'all just chill for a minute and then don't hang up. We'll be back. And this is us. And noise.